Now, take a look at this. Quite extraordinary. Just 23% of students, college students, say they have a positive view of capitalism. Only 23%. Good Lord. Nicholas Giordano is a professor at Suffolk Community College and joins me now. Can you explain this? Why such a small number support capitalism?
Well, no one should really be surprised that at Campus Reform, we've been reporting how college professors are indoctrinating the student body with anti-capitalist sentiments. I mean, for example, at Marquette University, you had a professor tell their students that individual liberty is responsible for capitalist violence. At Columbia University, you had a professor say capitalism was the root cause of both world wars and slavery, ignoring the fact that it was the rise of the dictatorships and the tens of millions that have died in the Soviet gulags with forced labor.
But those are outliers. On a general basis, kids being taught socialism in our colleges?
Absolutely. You go to university campuses. For UC San Diego has the Che Cafe, celebrating Che Guevara as a revolutionary. You have people complaining about statues of George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, yet a Mao Zedong bust statue in Washburn University is simply okay. And the students aren't being taught what socialism actually is. They can't define it. They give empty platitudes that it's about helping people, that it's about closing the wage gap. They'll point to the Nordic and Scandinavian nations, preach democratic socialism, which doesn't exist, without ever realizing that those countries rank higher on the capitalist model than the heavy regulated economy of the United States.
Well, let me raise this to you. You're talking about youngsters here, 20-somethings largely. Those youngsters are always liberal. For generations, young folks in their early 20s have been liberals. Look at this from Winston Churchill. If you're not a socialist by the age of 21, you've got no heart. If you're still a socialist at 25, you've got no head. There's certain relevance to that.
It is relevant. Unfortunately, they're not being taught what capitalism is about. That capitalism has lifted over 1 billion people out of poverty over the last 30 years. That socialism is responsible for destruction, death, misery, and poverty. Look at Venezuela. It went from the wealthiest country in South America to one of the poorest. And people actually resorted to eating zoo animals, according to reports from a few years ago. There are solutions.
Well, what do you want? I mean, courses on capitalism?
Yes. I want a robust American civics program that teaches about the Founding Fathers, the mindset, the intent of government, liberty, capitalism, limited government, and the principles that our Founding Fathers set forth. We need to speak out against the diversity, equity, inclusion, social justice initiatives that push the socialist model. Equity, collective. We need the Milton Friedmans and the Thomas Sowells of my generation, which don't exist, to come out and speak forcefully in defense of capitalism. We need to do those three things to change the mindset, because these students will graduate. They'll become the leaders in government, in politics and policymaking, in law, in medicine. And they're going to take, if they don't know an alternative, they're not going to turn their backs on socialism and become the conservatives at the age of 40.
I have to tell you that I was a socialist, Nicholas, when I was a young man in London as a student. I am no longer a socialist because I'm now 75. Simple as that. Nicholas Giordano, sir, you make a good point. We do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Parents, listen to this one, spending thousands of dollars to get their daughters into a sorority. All right, Lauren, come on. What exactly